Kind of looks like us.
There you go. Do you want to go ahead?
Oh, okay. So I'm Hannah. I'm a concept artist for TTR. I've been on the team since 2021. I did some concept revisions and then some turnarounds for these cogs.
Hi, my name is Matt. You might know me either online or in the online world as Masquerade. I've been on the team since 2018, and I was the game design director for this project, so I was involved in moveset creations, battle flow, themes, etc., just general shenanigans. And a fun fact about myself is I cannot lick my elbow.
Oh yeah, I forgot to do my fun fact. I can lick my elbow.
I'm Ro. I'm the project producer for this project, and I just essentially helped coordinate the project team and help their vision come to life. I officially reached my 1-year anniversary on the team, I want to say like last week. I do not know if I can or cannot lick my elbow. I'm not going to try. So let's go on to the next slide here. So I'm just going to give a quick little rundown of essentially what this update is. As I said, we really wanted to address the tedious suit grind, and our solution was less but more engaging COG facilities. Our objectives are to rework the facilities, be quicker and engaging, unifying players by reducing the variety. So why do you have to do an office B or C at like 1 in the morning? And now we could just team up, easy or hard, good to go, and you could just choose. And the main thing is creating new cogs who will serve as the new and improved facility supervisors. And we're going to go into the detail, next slide, of the 2 that have been revealed officially in the trailer.
There we go.
The club president on the left and the clerk on the right. Now, if we quickly go on to the next slide, just a quick little overview of the dossier that was put together by our Resistance Rangers, essentially, of everything we need to know. And I'm going to pass it on to Matt for the next slide on going into the beginning characteristics of what we wanted for this person.
Awesome. Thank you, Ro, for the wonderful introduction. So when we were originally coming up with the concepts and ideas and the personality behind the club president, one word that really kind of stuck with us was just narcissist. She's just completely in her own head. She's extremely arrogant. She thinks she knows better than everyone. And she just has this, you know, ability to kind of walk into any room that she's in and just instantly instill fear into the tunes that she encounters. And so we passed these personality ideas to the art department, and we kind of gave them an idea of what she was going to look like. So we really wanted this kind of like eerie, toothy, like evil grin, just shooting daggers into you with her eye, just unwaving. We wanted to give her really kind of big personality, big bushy hair, you know, maybe to match the size of her ego, but, you know, and again, we just really wanted her to have just like eyes that could pierce diamonds, like something that just is really intimidating. And with that, I will pass it on to Hannah.
Yeah, so these first sketches were not done by me. These were done by one of our art contractors. And there's a couple different variations, as you can see, different hairstyles, different mouths. But they really convey like the feeling that we wanted for her. And you can see that she's like very toothy, very like evil grin. And in this one, her eyes are still covered. That was the initial idea. And then,
yeah, if we go to the next slide.
And so in the next slide, you can see there's some more details. It shows like the turnaround of her head, her hair. We wanted her to have like an asymmetrical mouth so that it would give her a little bit of character rather than just having her be mirrored.
Next slide.
Oh, so on this screen, you can see these were some color ideation for her. And then on the right there, we've got some different ratios of like the smile to the hair. So we wanted to figure out, you know, like, should we emphasize the hair? Should we emphasize the smile? Next slide. And so here are some of the first 3D models done by Gabe, who's over in the corner there. Yeah, and so these are really, really cool. We were having some difficulties with the hair. She felt a little bit different than the other Cogs. So then this is where I came in. I did some variations of her design to try to find something that's a little more streamlined and that fit in a little bit more with some of the other Cogs so that she wouldn't feel out of place. Oh, and then these were, we settled on a sort of like beehive design for her hair. She was definitely based off of like a sort of like 80s girl boss, you know, like big shoulder pads, big hair. And then we also decided to give her one eye open so that she would be a little bit more menacing. You could look her in the eye. And then we went with number 1. Yeah, the next slide. Okay, and so this, the first one was a card sketch that I did that was based off of the old design. And then on the next to it is our final card, and that was colored by June. Yeah. Next slide. And so here was just kind of like some of the notes and some like guides for the 3D modelers to kind of help them figure out the shape, trying to get like kind of lowering the amount of faces that she had so that she would seem a little bit more simplified, but not too simplified. Next slide. And now her outfit is, oh, you can see it's a bit different than the other Cogs. We wanted them to be a little bit more unique. That texture was done by our artist Mike, and he did a wonderful, wonderful job. I like the little, like, kind of like bow that she's got there. It really gives her a little bit more character, and it adds to her design. Oh, yeah. And so then this was 2 versions of the textures by Mike. In the first one, you can see she doesn't have any makeup on, and we felt like she was a little lacking. She needed a little polish. So we went ahead and gave her some nice eyeshadow, some nice lipstick. She cares about her looks. And next slide.
Awesome. Thank you for all of that background, Hannah. I hear a lot of oohs, which is exciting. So when we were in the development of our supervisors, we really wanted them to stand out from the other Cogs. Like, they have climbed the corporate ladder, you know, maybe push some people off along the way. And we wanted it to be, like Ro mentioned earlier, we wanted the facilities to be, you know, less tedious, but maybe more of a challenge. And so in the design of these supervisors, we came up with 2 kind of core philosophies. We wanted them to have what's called a signature move, which is something that they have that's unique to them that completely changes the tide of the battle. And then we have a special move, which is something that they do during the battle to give them and their lackeys an upper hand. So the club president is unique in the way that she's kind of divided into these two phases, which is not really something that we've seen with cog battles before. You may have seen them in boss battles, but this is for cogs. So the first phase of the club president battle is what we like to call a DPS rush. So you want to get as much damage as you possibly can, as quickly as you can. Whoa, that was loud. And if you don't, then something might happen. So as you can kind of see in the top right, that is her signature move. It's called under par. So Toons are only going to have a few rounds to get her from full HP to no HP. And if you don't, then your laugh meter might take a pretty sizable hit. So make sure you have enough gags and you know which gags to use. The next kind of special move that she has is what we call penalty stroke. So as you know, all supervisors have their lackeys and their minions in the battle with them. But unlike most battles, she actually gains something if they're lost. She gains an additional attack for every missing minion in the battle. So if you take out the 3 big cheeses or corporate raiders that are with her, you might be in for a world of hurt. So it's kind of that fun balance of damaging her, but also having to deal with the minions, but also having to remember, well, if we get rid of the minions, what happens? And then we go into phase 2. So when she gets to 0, the club president, with her narcissistic personality, isn't really someone to give up. So this turns into a game kind of like chess. She physically steps back from the battle. She's immune to all damage. However, she's still around. She can still buff her minions, do a little shenanigans. And the first shenanigan we like to call is titanium buffer. So it's pretty simple. You may have seen in the boiler, with the pay raise. She gives her friends a little health boost. Oh, and I forgot to mention, any missing minion, she can call them up real quick and she can get a full, fresh set of friends to help deal with you Toons and your shenanigans. The second special move that we had with her was called driving range, which is a pretty simple idea. Just gives her friends a small little damage buff. She gives them her own personal club, driving range, all that stuff. Before we move on to the next slide, I just want to give a little, warning. As Hannah mentioned, she has like beehive hair. Try not to mess it up. Can we go to the next slide, please? And now we are going to talk about everyone's favorite grandma, the office clerk. Next slide, please. So when we were designing the clerk, we really had a pretty straightforward idea for what we wanted her to be. We really wanted her to be somebody who was a complete mastermind, someone who's thinking 30 moves ahead, who already knows every gag that you're going to use and how to counter it. And we also wanted her to have, because she knows what you're going to use, she can set traps for you along the way to kind of lure you into a false sense of security. And so we passed these along to Art, and we had some visual ideas for her as well. So we wanted her to have a very feminine kind of personality, and we wanted her to be similar to a bigwig, but slightly different. We wanted her hair to be kind of more tied up into a bun or like a similar kind of style. We wanted her nose and her kind of mouth to be kind of like tilted upwards, so she's kind of looking down on you guys because you're Toons, you're nothing to her. And we really wanted to give her glasses similar to the club president. We really wanted her to just be piercing through with daggers and law books and legal mumbo jumbo. Like, who's heard of a filibuster before? I'm like, come on. Next slide, please.
Yeah, so the sketch on the left was the first one done by one of our art contractors, and you can see she's got like all the things that were mentioned. She's got her nose upturned, glasses, bun, and she's got some nice, lovely earrings. And then on the right,
Spoiler.
Oh, okay. And then on the right was like a slightly revised one because we wanted to make her have a slightly different head shape than the loan shark. Okay. And then, so on the left there, that was actually, I was told to do a card for the girl boss, and I thought it was that girl boss, and so that was a sketch that I did. But maybe one day it'll be a card. And then on the right was the turnaround that I did for her. For the glasses, I wanted to figure out a way to also not make them like too like three-dimensional because I feel like the beads on it would take away from like the simplicity of the design. So we decided to make it a 2D graphic, which I think worked out pretty well. So it still blends with the original designs of the game. And then on the left, we're just like some showing the planes of the face where the 3D artist would need to break it up. And then on the right is the 3D model like blocked out done by Gabe.
Yeah, Gabe.
And now this is her final design, and the textures again were done by Mike, who did a wonderful, wonderful job. You can see he also kind of like brought in the red beads from her glasses onto her suit, which is a really nice touch. Yeah, we gave her just a little bit of makeup. You know, she's tired, she's old. Yeah, she's built old.
Well, thank you for that, Hannah. It's always really fun to kind of take a trip down memory lane and see the art process and just really seeing them come to life. Now we move on to some of the battle mechanics. And so the clerk is unique in that she is very controlling of not only the law, but the battle flow itself. So the first special move that she has is called witness protection. So as someone who is above the law in some cases, she values her witnesses above all else. And this move allows her to remove a cog from the battle so they are immune to all damage for, you know, a round or two. You know, they can still hit you, but, you know, you're not able to hit them. So you're going to have to think really carefully about how you want to take out those cogs so they don't get, you know, taken out of the battle. The second special move is called subpoena witness. And so, you know, just because she's out of minions and a little low on health doesn't mean she's completely without backup. So throughout the battle, she's able to call in some reinforcements just to, you know, even the playing field a little bit. So be on the lookout for any cogs descending from the ceiling or coming up from, you know, around. The signature move of the clerk is what we call objection. So very, you know, lawyer-like, she is very controlling of what you do. And she's analyzed the Toon tactics a little bit, and she realizes that not all of the gags that we throw or toss or squirt necessarily, you know, damage cogs. So she's found a legal loophole to go around that. So Toons who don't immediately damage her during a round of objection will face some legal penalties. And I'm gonna let you guys figure out what those are. And now I think, anyone here have a soundless tune? Anyone part of the soundless cult? Yeah! Shout out to you guys. So I think you guys are really going to like this move. It's called motion to strike. So have you ever gone through you know, a library before and maybe you like were talking to a friend and they went, shh, you know? I'm just gonna let you guys know the clerk doesn't like loud noises. So be on the lookout for that. And I will pass it back to Ro.
But yeah, that's everything we have essentially for these two cogs, and we're really excited to see what you guys think during the playtest. We're actually, if we go to the next slide, we can open it up to questions or comments that you guys might have. If any of you want to come up to the mic, starting with you, with the hat, yes. No worries.
Do we want to make a line?
Yeah, actually, let's do a line. That's a great idea, man.
Form up a line, you know, don't push and shove. Everyone's here to have fun.
Yeah. Go ahead.
We were talking about mainly the clerks of the stuff. The first thought that came to my mind was fire.
Tournament sign-up
Were
sheet
those
is
just
available.
I'll actually let Matt answer that. Will fires be disabled?
So you might be surprised to hear that the supervisors, they have a little bit of tenure in their positions. So they're a little bit, you know, just saying.
My question is, looking at the models for the supervisors, they look like they have 3D mouths. Will they be animated in any way?
I'll let Hannah answer that.
I'm not a 3D modeler who does animation, but maybe you can expect some animations, a little bit of animation, some new ones.
Yeah, maybe more so in what they do. Maybe not so in like the headpiece moving, but you'll be surprised on some new animations. Of course.
I almost forgot my question.
We're glad you didn't forget.
So I kind of have a 2-for-1 type of question. So my first question is, since they're hiring these new supervisors, because like we know that they're going to be like an easy factory and then a hard factory, would the layout of the other factories, of the vents or wherever, would they change? And my second question would be, what can we expect from the foreman or the vent supervisor?
I can answer the first one. The facilities are going to get a little bit of a change. Nothing like too drastic in terms of like visuals, but we realize a lot of the existing facilities are like the same thing but repetitive. So we're going to be trying to like cut down on 50 like hit the gophers things and things like that. Yeah.
But I love hitting red gophers.
And what was the second question?
So what can we expect for the factory foreman and the supervisor? Like, what would they be like?
I guess.
If you can talk about it.
I guess we'll have to stay tuned. The Resistance Rangers didn't get too much information yet from their scouting, but maybe there's a little bit on those panel dossiers that give a bit of detail into how they may act in the battle. Yeah.
Basically, I wanted to ask if the secret hideouts that seem to be in Wallbot or in Cashbot, if they will have anything to do with the supervisors.
No, I don't think so, because that's usually more of like a task force related thing, and these are just more so designed to just help out with the suit promotions that come with like the CJ and the other bosses. But maybe, hopefully in the future. Of course.
Hey, I have a few questions. First, I'm really wondering in terms of texture work, when you were working on the new textures for the president and the clerk, when you were working on those, what was it like to make sure that those stylistically fit in line with the other cogs from the original Disney textures? And does this sort of come in line with the remastered project? Because those are going to have to fit stylistically, and some of those old textures are really blocky, and the outlines are kind of splotchy and whatnot. And the other question I have is in regards to the game, the game design and things. How, in terms of just the way that the battles will be in the facilities, how will those kind of work within the task line, if you can answer that, or is that just sort of taking the place of where they fit in with regular facilities?
To answer, do you think you could answer a bit of the first one?
Yeah, so for the texture question, I didn't do the textures, like the actual texture, I did the concepts, but generally we wanted them to look like they could have been in the original Toontown, but they are still a little bit more polished, just because we also do plan on going back through and like polishing up some of those textures and making them look a little better as part of the remastered. So yeah.
So you said the trolley tracks are downstairs, right?
Do you think you could answer the second part of the question, or the second question?
Can you repeat the question, like just quick, fast?
With the addition of these new facility, I guess bosses would be a term you could use here. How would those be implemented into the task line, if at all, for revisiting the task line to incorporate the facilities a bit more, or there's more of an incentive to do the facilities within the task line, or the hard or the easier modes?
So that's a good question. I think, as Ro mentioned earlier, the goal of this update is to reduce like the suit grind a little bit, kind of make you get a promotion a little bit easier. I don't necessarily have the specifics on task line stuff currently. That's something that we're still kind of figuring out. But a good incentive, like you were asking about, is the reduction in grind. Like, I mean, would you like to do 5 factories, or maybe the possibility of a few? So,
Thank you very much.
I think we can. We have time for just one more. I think.
No, we got time, but people got
one more question. One question each. Great.
Just a simple one, along the same lines as his before. What incentive do you know there's going to be for anyone that's already maxed out a suit?
Not sure. I guess you'll have to stay tuned on if there could be one, but at the same time, it kind of stinks for those who want to get some kind of reward and they go through and max their tune, and then the new stuff comes out, and then they don't really have a reason.
I'll try to make it quick. The purpose of the new bosses is to cut down on the grind for suits, as you said. To accomplish this, are you making only hard facilities give more points? Will easy facilities give more points than usual? Like, what's the distribution of points to reduce the grind?
It's a little still up in the air. I think a lot of the feedback that we'll be having from these playtests, everyone's more than encouraged to give what they think they should be rewarding.
Yep.
So earlier on, you experimented with giving each facility different music tracks for based on whether you're in a min or PA office or whatever. And then later on, you experimented with dynamic tracks for the boiler boss and field offices. My question is, will we be able to see more here any new music for these new supervisor bosses, and can you answer if they will be dynamic?
I'm not sure if I could confirm if they'll be dynamic or not, but I would hopefully expect to see some kind of new music for these playtests. Yeah.
All right. As soon as I saw those new cogs, I had one burning question. Can you use a pink slip to fire them? And if so, what happens? I need to know.
So, as we mentioned, they have a little bit of tenure, and so nothing's going to happen. They're just going to stick around and keep girl bossing on you.
Fair enough. Very much.
So, based on the level of difficulty, what the bosses are, basically, when you want the level of difficulty when you're a low tune, high tune, because normally when you're facing the final boss of the factory, it's like a level 12 skeleton. Is it like going to be a higher level or like a medium level, like beginner?
So that's a really good question. We had a lot to consider about that. The way that we're structuring it is that we're taking into account where you would be at in the task line, your laugh, your gag tracks, where you would be at for those specific facilities. So if you're, example, entering, Cashbot HQ, you're generally, maybe 80-ish, laugh, maybe a little bit more. You might have, a max gag track or two. So we definitely took into consideration where you would be at those certain stages so that any tune at that area can accomplish those.
When creating these new cogs, did you ever look back at some of the earlier concepts for cogs that never made it into the original Toontown as to gain inspiration for their design?
No, well, okay, we didn't look into like unmade cogs. As far I had never seen any art of any unmade cogs, but I did look at like the concept art that they did of the cogs that we have, and then also they were like the original cogs were inspired like by the UPA style, which was animation studio, very old one. They used to do a lot of very like simplified work, a lot of just like straights versus curves, like they're all kind of blocky looking because it was easier to animate. So yeah, I took inspiration from that to try to get them to be a little more like in line with the current cogs. Yeah.
Will these cogs be in the cog gallery?
Ooh.
That's a great note that actually we should consider. Yeah.
I'd like to hear about the love that the sound design team has given to these new supervisors. Can we expect a lot of new sound effects? Are there going to be a lot of good repurposing? What's going to expect?
We would love to really dive into any new sound effects for these people, as well as like maybe potentially new animations for their signature moves. Again, I would probably look forward to maybe some new theme songs for these cogs.
All right. Well, we are getting close to out of time. However, we have a few announcements before we go. One announcement. Let me check my notes. If you didn't get a plushie, you can go to the back of the room and ask for one. However, please be honest and don't take more than one. We only have a limited amount. The second note of business is that downstairs at the booth, you can sign up for our Trolley Tracks event. So make sure you guys go ahead and do that. And our final fun announcement is you can go down to the booth right now and you can pick up your own Club President trading card. So thank you all so much for coming. This has been so fun for all of us, and we look forward to seeing you.
Nice. Good job. Good job, guys.